When addressing cultural issues from a biblical worldview, I usually address it from a clarity motive, not a convincing motive. Hi, and welcome to Faith in Front. So you may be thinking, clarity, convincing. A lot of times I think this gets confused when addressing different issues in the culture. When someone asks me my belief or conviction on something and I tell it from a biblical worldview, for some reason they'll say, well, you can't force that on me. I'm not trying to force it on you. I'm just giving you clarity on why I land where I land. Just as if you have a different worldview, because that's really what we're in a battle in. It's the battle of worldviews. A worldview is just a lens by which you look through to see the world. If you are an atheist, I understand why you would come to different conclusions about things versus me being a theist, one who believes in God, atheist, no God. So of course, when you look at the world through the lens that says there is no God, of course you're going to come to a different conclusion than I would about certain things that we may consider moral, immoral, things like that. So what I really want to bring clarity to, because that's really what I'm about, is just clarity, not trying to convince you. And we really just lost the art. I don't know if it's the art, but years ago, we really did have this mindset to where it was just sometimes we would just agree to disagree because we understood that, well, if you have a different worldview, then of course you're going to land different on this. Where versus today, we've gotten comfortable with just slinging mud at someone who has a different worldview that brings them to different conclusions about things that are in the culture. Now, when I share the gospel, yes, I would like to persuade someone to receive Christ, but I understand that that's still not forcing. It's like if someone knocks on your door and they're selling something. Now, Jesus is free, but you know how you get solicitors, people knocking on the door. They can't force what they're selling on you. They can't force it. You might hear what they have to say, and then you say, no, thank you. When I share the gospel, I understand the person may be open to it. They may not want to hear it at all. And I get that. Let's look at what Paul does here in Acts 17. As was his custom, Paul went into the synagogue, and on the Sabbath day, he reasoned with them from the scripture, explaining and proving that the Messiah had to suffer and rise from the dead. This Jesus I'm proclaiming to you is the Messiah, he said. Some of the Jews were persuaded and joined Paul and Silas, as did a large number of God-fearing Greeks and quite a few prominent women. So we see here it says that some joined. Some joined. So that automatically implies that some didn't. So when it comes to sharing the gospel, it's not always about I'm trying to force it on you. I may be trying to persuade, but that's what we all do. Even if you're having a conversation with me about something that it runs opposition to my worldview, you may use persuasion. There's nothing wrong with using persuasion. But we also understand that after I give evidence or whatever I may give to you, you still have the right to say, no, I don't. I still disagree. I still don't want that. And so just understand that it's about clarity. It's not always about trying to convince you or force, because sometimes that's the way it's taken. It's really just about clarity on this is why I stand where I stand. Now, unfortunately, most will still say you're trying to force it on me when that's really not it. So I just wanted to bring clarity to that, because in one of my recent videos, I talked about, is it wrong to impose? And it was funny because I think some people just responded to the title. You know, should Christians impose their views on others? And people, no. And the question was really, and I actually broke it down in the video. I actually said, well, impose means to force. And so when people say impose, they're saying you're trying to force me to agree with this. And so they'll use that word impose because they know it means you're trying to force this on me, when no, if I share the gospel with you, or if I give a biblical worldview on something in the culture, it's not, I can't force it. Your belief system is an intangible part of you that cannot be grabbed and going, you're going to take this. That's not the way belief works. So no, my beliefs can't be forced on you. Now, someone might say, well, if you start putting things in policies, then it's being forced. Well, like I said before, opposing views will jockey for position. And there are views that people hold that are opposite of my view, and they will try to get it codified. They will try to get it cemented in politics to be protected and promoted. And they have no issue, and they'll say, well, it's not impacting you. There are ways that it does impact. Okay, if there's things put in the laws that says that a biological man can walk into the bathroom with my wife, you're imposing something on me that I don't like. So they can be imposing. I don't think that a biological man should be able to walk into a girl's bathroom just because he says I am a girl. You're now that's forcing. Okay, that's enforcing. So the bottom line is everybody's views will be pushed on the opposite conviction. That's the way that works. So I didn't want to dive too much in that, but I wanted to give clarity, because I think a lot of people, when they saw the thumbnail, they just reacted and just started, it's like, listen to the video, listen to the full context. I think people don't listen to the full context before they respond, because some of the responses that I got from that video, it clearly showed that no one really listened. They just saw the thumbnail and it was off to the races. If they had a listen, they would have found out that what I was saying is that I can't really force it on you. And you might say, well, I think that you are forcing it on me. Okay, if I'm gonna try to be intellectually honest, because that's opposing views do that. But I think what I'm saying is that when it comes to the gospel, okay, let's just leave it at the gospel, and I share the gospel. I can't force that on you. You'll either say I want it or I don't want it, and that's just the way that works. When it comes to cultural issues, I think both sides can say that whatever cultural issue wins or gets codified in policies, it can be imposed on the opposite conviction. And I think that's just the way life works. I mean, to be honest, we argue about over a lot of things that's just kind of the way life is. Because as I said before, if your person wins and they start putting things in policies that impact me, it's imposed. It's kind of being forced on me. But I get it. You might say, well, if your conviction wins, then it gets imposed on me. Well, thankful for the political process that we have. Kind of went off on a tangent there. I really wanted to make this about clarity versus convincing when it comes to talking about different things. Most times it is about just clarity. This is why I believe what I believe, and you can reject it, you can accept it. That's your decision. Okay, running out of time here. So as usual, keep your faith in front.